Hello students, today I am going to discuss on the systematic drawing and description of celts and ringstones, particularly X type of celt, S type of celt, chisel, shoulder celt and ringstone. Dear students, let me first introduce about this topic. Today we shall discuss on the technologically new type of tools which are totally different from the accurately drawn and described tools. Except bone tools of upper Paleolithic cultural phase, all the lithic tools, whether they may be heavy core and flake tools, or lighter flake tools, or blade tools, or microliths, possess primary and secondary flake skirts, along with other flaking techniques, signs or symbols on the surfaces of the tools. Here all the tools possess fine smooth surfaces with or without glazing smooth surface. All these ground and smooth tools have different shapes with different styles of working edges. They are collectively known as celts. Various types of celts are X types of celt, S type of celt, chisel and ringstone. Now I will explain you about this X type of celt. In case of the X type of celt, the working edge is formed by the intersection of two main beveling surfaces. Here you see this whole dorsal surface is also ground, and from this part the beveling surface started, and this meet the ventral surface. Let's see the ventral side. This ventral side is also wholly ground, and from this part up to this it is the beveling surfaces, and these two beveling surfaces form this self-working tip. And this X type of celt has a broad cutting edge and has a thin and triangular shape butt end. This is S type of celt. In this case, the beveling surface is found from one side. You see this side. Here you will find the beveling surfaces starting from here up to this, and this beveling surface meets the ventral surface. The ventral surface remains plain, and it is also formed by grinding and polishing, and thus in profile you will find the straight line here, and the beveling edge is found from one side only. Thus in cross section or profile you will get in this way, one side straight line and one side is bevel, and form the sharp and broad working tip. Now let's come to the procedures for drawing the given specimen accurately. For drawing an accurate image of the given neolith, all the procedures followed while drawing the paleoliths in the previous classes should be continued. They are: number 1, orientation of the supplied tool; number 2, nature of presentation; and number 3, required instruments and procedures; and finally number 4, technique of drawing. Now let's come to the orientation of the supplied tool. While drawing the neoliths, the orientation is different from that of the paleoliths. In the case of the paleoliths, say for example either cleaver or hand axe, the working tip is placed facing upward, whereas in the case of the neolith, the working tip is placed downward, like this. Let us first place this tool properly. Now come to the nature of presentation. Three-dimensional ground and polish is represented by two-dimensional images. The area of the beveling surface is also surrounded by the thick line, and shading is done by dots and straight lines. Section views are also shown by using straight parallel lines and thick boundary lines. And number 3, require instruments and procedures. All the supplied instruments and needed materials either to be supplied by the department concerned or to be brought by each student remain the same. Now let's come to number 4, technique of drawing. It is also similar to other lithic tool drawings. It is comparatively found more easier than the drawing of Paleolithic and Mesolithic because Neolithics or Neoliths do not possess any flag scars as they are ground and polished tools. In rare cases, some waves of the beveling area or unground portion of the chip or peg surfaces are seen. The measurements of the tools, position of placing and fixing it accurately for drawing purposes are also similar to the previous practical classes. Let us see how to draw a celt. Like other drawings, first of all, we have to measure the length of the tool. Just let us take this S type of celt. 13.4 along its axis. Then we will draw a straight line, giving some space for the cross section. Then we have to draw another line forming its proximal and distal ends. This is the proximal and this is the distal, and it forms the lower boundary and it forms the upper boundary of the given specimen. To find out its proper position, we first draw a longitudinal straight line along its axis and another across the x-axis. This is the y-axis. Then we draw an imaginary line crossing this tool or dividing this tool or bisecting this tool into two halves, and supposing that one of the half is placing parallel to this table. Then let us place it and find out. We should measure the height of this working tip, butt end and two lateral sides. If three of these sides get similar height, then we should consider that the tool is placed in properly. Then after fixing or thinking that the tool is placed properly, then we should fill up the gap by placing the plasticine or model clay. The next step is transferring this tool to the drawing sheet. While transferring this, one hand holds the set square and place to the already drawn line, and another hand holds the tool along with the plasticine and place it properly. As it is a ground tool, there is no erases, so we should draw it by using a pencil. Like other Paleoliths or Middle Paleolithic tools, we should mark the end points of the beveling surfaces. Here we have both, so we have to mark it. Now let us remove this tool and keep it carefully, not to change its position. Then let us join the dots. Then we should measure the breadth and length of these beveling surfaces. These beveling surfaces are found here. The beveling area is starting from here and goes up to this, and it's ended here. Then we have to measure the distances from here up to this. The distance is 4 centimeters. Next, another. Then the next point is to measure the highest one from half of its length. Now we can join the dots. Then we can start shading. And this area is represented by the original pebble surface, which are not totally ground. This should be represented by dot. And this area is represented by the smooth ground and polished surfaces. And this portion remain untouched. This area remain untouched. This is also the original pebble surface. Let us see the area by rolling this sock. This area is a depressed area and it cannot be touched either by grinding or polishing. So it should be represented by the original pebble surface by these dots. And grounded area is represented by these straight lines. Thus, we can represent the dorsal surface of the X type of celt. Nature of orientation remain the same. The procedures for drawing. Now let's come to the systematic description of the supplied tool. For describing a given neolith systematically, each student should follow the following model listed below. Number 1, museum number or accession number. Number 2, raw material or rock type. Number 3, measurements. In case of the measurements, each student should measure the maximum length along its axis. Number B, maximum breadth along its half length. And number C, maximum thickness along its half length. Number 4, that is the state of preservation. Number 5, general description. Number 6, that is probable tool marking technique. 7 point is about the probable tool type, probable cultural period and chronology. And lastly come to the probable function and economy. Hello students, now let me come to its conclusion that the drawing and description of Neolithic tools are easier than the Paleoliths and Mesoliths. All the tools drawn and described in this module are produced by chipping, packing, grinding and polishing methods of commonly known as grinding and polishing technique. Most of the tools are associated with carpentry or woodworks and agricultural purposes and belong to the food producing economy. Thank you all for patient hearing.